Did me? Hello, everyone out there listening to our Frightening Fridays DVD set here with the alternate commentary. This is Ben Willis, better known as Cedric here.
And Heather Sage once again as Gwendolyn.
We're sitting here watching our wedding episode, giving you some random commentary as we see fit as it rolls by.
I like how you can see right here how my outfit changed. It went from like the full-on witch to like the witch with the green cap. And you can tell in that one, I'm like, I have this stupid cap on, like witch hat, you know, like ass on parade. Like
that seemed to be the theme with, you know, most of our characters when we first introduced them. We'd have some costume idea that we'd try out, we'd introduce them, then we'd come back to the next episode and be completely different.
Yeah. Well, I remember the witch thing was working for a while till, I mean, it created such a darkness over my face. It had to stop.
Still watching the previews here from the last couple episodes, I guess, actually. It's kind of bringing you up to date on the relationship thing.
In another dimension, a legion of evil apparitions known only as the Reapers plotted the fate of the human race. These ghostly demons wanted to spread their fury of domination and fright throughout the world. Yet the question remained, how?
That's Director Eric out there in the commissary again. You know, Bargain Basement Television, Bargain Basement DVD Processing Center. Doubles as your very own apartment. But yeah, I mean, we had very little money to run on, so whatever costumes we had were usually really Halloween costumes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I know. It was, well, in fact, I got all that stuff because I knew we were talking about me being a witch on the show. So as soon as it went on clearance, because I still to this day work at Walmart, as soon as it went on clearance, I was like, I picked up every witch thing I could find. And that's how we went about it. I think I even had in the first episode, but I don't know what happened to them. I had like spider rings and spider earrings and all, but it's the tiniest little thing that you never saw my hand, so it never worked, but yeah.
Unfortunately, with as much fog as we had, if you got down to that level of detail, I was almost kind of lost.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, it worked. I mean, eventually we didn't even need it because you were off under cover working in an office somewhere.
Creepy Reaper.
This intro is far too long. We're running out of things to say already.
So I've heard.
Ooh, what's this?
It's the vault doors opening.
Yeah, did you guys like that?
That's kind of bizarre.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest.
I tried it. I tried something new, and
I like this tinny kind of doors, but the handles don't work for me.
Yeah.
It looks like slime running down.
yeah. I just thought I'd try something new.
Well, it's different.
The creepy Reaper. That window. Oh my God! Do you remember the hell of putting that window together?
I do remember that.
And then Katie had this awesome idea to like stain glass in it, and I mean it's good for what we had, but like I just remember no one would help her do that because you're so like, you know, my mom used to stain glass stuff, and this is how, and I was like, oh my God, you know. But it turned out really well, even still.
It did for being a sheet of plastic drop cloth and I think it was like this craft paint.
Yeah, it turned out really well, and the light even lit it up enough, you know, that it does from far away now. It looks like a window.
If the light weren't on, you'd know it. That's the thing. If the light weren't on, it would just be completely dark. So even just that much really lends a lot to the background there.
The staff is just mocking us.
That damn staff. Telephone in the foreground. Didn't you love that?
Yeah, wasn't that? Where do we get that from?
I do remember that. I stole that from the radio station.
I knew we took it. We borrowed it each week.
Yes, but every time I went down to the radio station, usually there was and the subway too.
I need $1 million. What's this?
I like like how too, like, this is probably, you know, Damien throwing stuff, or yeah, not, well, Jeremy, I mean, you know, like everybody who wasn't on scene, if stuff had to be thrown or like given out like randomly, like that's what we did. We were on scene 1 minute and behind the scenes the next.
I know my preferred position when I wasn't doing scenes was working the fog machine.
Yeah, that was fun. So I was like, more fog.
It's kind of a cushy job.
Well, I think that and doing the lightning, you know, you get to sit there and like every now and then flick a button, you know, it's stressful, it was hard work.
We really didn't have that many lighting changes. I mean, everything was just kind of set. Every day we'd come in and we'd have to, you know, reset a couple of lights because they get reused during the week for classes. But then everything just stayed the same way through the entire shoot, and the only thing that had to change was the lighting.
Yeah. Well, and I like, too, towards the end when Mike would really, really get into character and he'd just keep laughing. You know, you didn't know sort of like when to end the lightning because he would just keep going. But that just showed, I think, our dedication we had to it then, you know. And you didn't, at first it was like, oh my God, stop laughing. But then you got to the point where it was just like, you know, let him go. He has to stop eventually.
Oh, he's laughing! Lightning! And then later there'd just be lightning at random points as well. I don't think I got to see this one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw this one either. I always loved him talking about the movies, though, because he'd probably get information about the movie about 10 minutes before we shot it.
Usually, that would involve me running over to Eric's computer, usually during a writing session, and printing off stuff from IMDb.
Yeah. But he always pulled stuff together, and, you know, he was that's one really good thing about Mike. He's real good at coming up with stuff off the top of his head, you know, and that was definitely which we sort of did towards the end. We had like a script to follow, but we weren't had scripted words, and you know, we just went off the top of our heads.
More and more as the show went on, it just evolved into an improv show completely. I mean, we had an outline, we had a plot, we had points, we had the occasional line that was kind of written out. But if you look at one of the scripts from about, you know, the fourth, fifth show on, it really was just, and Creepy Dumb comes in and he comes in and says something about this, and then Igor gets zapped, you know, and then Leah walks in and, you know, Creepy starts showing her the remote and you know, it was just action and it wasn't really dialogue.
Yeah.
It was just left up to the rest of us to decide what the heck to do.
Look, I mean, isn't it pretty cool? I mean, I can hit pause.
Poor Joel, like, he was so good. Like, he could, if you would have been like, Joel, we need you to stand there, like, and freeze for 20 minutes, he would have done it, you know.
Freeze frame.
Freeze frame, yeah.
Double the intensity and put it on lock.
There's Miss Leah.
Yeah, I picked it up at Target the other day. Target? You ever go there?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It wasn't always a far stretch. She won't care if I say this because I love her, but that wasn't a far stretch of a character, I don't think, for her to play.
What, they're looking for shoes?
She's not that stupid though, but
Well, it's not just the story you're telling.
no.
Do you want to tell the people how
Yeah. So Leah and I recently graduated Bloom, and we're sitting there, and, you know, of course, everybody who's Magnum Cum Laude, you know, they announced. And as we were sitting there, like, after, like, the 15th person or so, she was like, oh, my God. And I'm like, what? And she's like, that whole family is huge, and they're at Bloomsburg. And, I mean, it was like, yeah, I'm like, what family? And she's like, the Cum Laude family. And I'm like, no. Like, no.
You did not just say that.
Yeah, and it was one of those things, if it were a TV show, like, crickets would have played, there would have been dead silence. And she thought it was, I'm like, did you not realize the different ethnicity of people? And, like, it's not a family. And she, yeah, we have a little inside joke now about her going to the Cum Laude family reunion because it's so big, you know, and whatever. But, yeah, that's our Leah.
That's freaking hysterical!
You know.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God!
Thank you, producer Eric.
That's like the funniest story of all time since Jim Carrey and Liar Liar.
You know. And it's one of those things too, like, she's so dead serious about it, like, even afterwards, like, she laughs, but it's, you know, the next day she finally got it. you know. But yeah, when we told her mom that afterwards, and her mom's just like, her mom turned to my mom and said she's the future of America. It's like she is.
That's funny.
Yeah. But
Do you hear that noise?
here we are in the Axel's basement,
Damn it, I knew
and there's some obvious ticking going on, and they can't find out what it
It's
is.
like a ticking sound. It's where is it coming from? Can you hear it?
It's coming from this.
Muller, that's Gwen's briefcase. I've seen her with it.
I think they like deactivated it.
Briefcase be in your office.
My big suitcase bomb.
That was my piece of Samsonite, by the way.
Oh yeah, I remember. You brought a lot of stuff. You brought the pots and pans, that easel, the suitcase.
Oh my god.
Like it's like, let's open the bomb and stare at it for a while. Like hopefully it won't go off.
Not even a bomb. It's an alarm clock.
Why would Gwen leave her briefcase
Why? That's the question. Why?
underneath your desk? Muller, this
And
makes
Matt's
no
just like
sense.
determined to figure it out.
Something's going on here that we don't know about.
I know where we can find out.
It's like this Mother Goose alarm clock, too. I mean, it just adds to the confusion.
Now we're in, this is actually, we'll be going into media services, the old setup of media services.
Second setup. There was an older setup.
Oh, was there?
This was the first stage of their gutting of any and all equipment that they could get their hands on.
I remember this too. I think this was just me, Matt, and Christina again. We were just given a camera to go shoot it, you know, on our own. And I remember every couple of feet, Eric was like, every chance you get, like, just look back, you know. And I loved the way it was set up, that you could look through the shelves and everything and see if somebody was coming. It's where I, you know, charge myself every other day. That's Eric's watch. He doesn't really remember it, but that's his watch that I had to put on.
It's the most implausible thing ever.
And then, as any robot out there knows, you just put a cop light on your head and you're charged after 24 hours.
I love how you go into stasis while you're charging, too. That's the best thing.
Well, like, you know, thinking of you, like, you saying that later on, I'm charging, but I'm talking, I'm just going like, I'm a Gwen bot, you know, so it's like, why wasn't I just there going, I'm a Gwen bot? It just shows you how things change throughout the show.
Continuity errors. Holy crap, that was all the first segment.
This was
Wow.
one of the longest episodes, I think. I mean, it was all the same length, but most stuff going on.
That took forever.
Wow, I just love Jack Nicholson. I mean, he's quite the actor. And in fact, one time, long ago, Jack came over and we...
Oh, my damn hair.
It sort of works, though, because some butlers do have their hair pulled back. I know that's not the look you wanted, though, but...
It was just, at this point, especially I think this last couple episodes, these two episodes, for some reason, I just kept forgetting. Well, for some reason, I put my hair back just to keep it out of the way because I wasn't on screen for a couple scenes, and I'd go back and I'd forget to take it out. Or I'd forget to take it out for certain takes, and it ended up being the one we'd use. It's just frustrating, you know.
Why don't you just elope?
But sir, we can't elope.
But, oh, honeydew.
I'd worked up the style of the hair, you know, after all these episodes, and it's got pulled back. Screw that.
I love those parts. That's all throughout, like, almost every episode. Like, Creepy says something that he just finds hysterical, and you're just like, not so much.
Honeydew.
This part's really good, too.
Oh, you know, that's going really good.
Yes. Well, would you like to see the Great Hall? It's nearly finished.
Sure.
Let's go.
You can tell he knows something's up.
Has a suspicion.
Something about her that I just don't trust.
For an evil android, you're very emotive.
Really went through with the plan. You know, I'm going to send my own agents out to see if
He
she
even got the little quote fingers.
annihilated the X-Files as she was supposed to. I call them the Trio.
You're dirty, dirty boy.
Dirty
Ew, put boogie on you.
Well,
He's got
the real
cooties.
Trio wasn't exactly
Yeah.
available today, so I
Poor Creepy.
stuck
That's
with
only
these
his
guys.
were his little minions that he had to
Gotta
work
what you
with.
got, you know. Well, while they go see if the plan went as it was supposed to.
They ended up being a pretty integral part of the series later on. They'd just go out and have their own little adventures, you know, and on their scouting missions. Rain.
Yeah, you know, it rained in DC that weekend. We were there. And here, Christina's gonna come and stumble upon.
Gwen?
I think she stumbles upon my charger at
Gwendolyn,
this
are you
point.
in here?
Who couldn't?
Gwen.
Well, yeah, you know.
It's kind of hard to not stumble around something that big. That room used to be, that whole blank space in that room, this was shortly after, for some godforsaken reason, the media services department, something came down from the uppity ups, and they used to have tons and tons of like antique, classic educational films from like the 50s and 60s. Like I remember we borrowed a couple, and we had a film night back when when I was in Boy Scouts, and we borrowed a couple from up here. One was like Decision to Drop the Bomb. It was like this 1955 program on the freaking Hiroshima bombings, you know. It's of course it's like this ultra patriotic thing, and of course it doesn't make any mention of the Japanese people. It's just like, oh, here's the heroic people in the airplane dropping this gigantic bomb. And it's like, and it's filled with, but they dumpster it. And I think that killed Matt Colosimo.
Yeah, he wanted to take a lot of that, because if you're gonna throw it, you know, and it's not like he was gonna, you know, go sell it on the black market or anything. Like, why couldn't he have it? But we got rid of it.
I think that was their reasoning, is what he told me, because they said that somehow legally they weren't allowed to give it to anyone because they weren't allowed to sell it, and if they gave it to someone, he might sell it.
Right. You knew Matt was just gonna keep it, but you know, all that legal crap, you know, he didn't get it, but so they threw it away, because that's what BU does.
And then later they actually got rid of all that rest of that equipment there, all those beta cameras, and as far as I know, because I went in there and there was like nothing. It was just office space.
It's pretty, yeah, it's just like little cubicles right now, you know, there's nothing there. This part we had to shoot, I'm not even kidding, like 9 times, because there was just so much I had to say and remember, and with it not being scripted too, I just had to remember every little thing, and like I'd get to the very end and I'd be like, crap, like I forgot to say something, you know, and
Oh, my batteries, I gotta charge.
then when I finally, like, which would have probably been this take, finally got it down, put the light on my head and the damn light went gone. That's one of the bloopers you can see on the DVD.
Special features. I remember that because I had to do that walk-off every time we did a retake. So I had to come back, reset! I'm like, and I don't know what my last line was. I think after a while I didn't even say it. I was just standing there. I just walked away. we kept doing it again. I think it must have been like 20 takes or so. But it's a freaking monologue of exposition, and those are just horrid to do. And more power to you for getting through it.
And thanks, it was hard. And then knowing everybody was watching, and then I got to the point I was like, everybody's probably getting so mad at me. And I just was getting flustered, but we got it done.
Well,
Another blooper stems from this shooting session here.
Oh, yeah.
what do you think it is?
He's like,
Well, it looks like,
It's the thing you use to charge
using robotics.
batteries with. The thing.
yeah, this episode had a lot of bloopers going on in it, just because there was so much going on that it just kind of happened, but
There was
beauty of retake.
There's so much plot-driven stuff in this episode specifically that you couldn't just flub it. You had to get the lines down. You had to actually say the words for once, or otherwise nothing else made sense.
That's our beautiful castle that we were allowed to film at. This part's really good too, because it just shows like the creepy Reaper wants to be the smartest man on Earth, but he just doesn't get it, even if something's blaring in front of him with a big red light on its head.
It's one of those classic scenes from the show.
About you? Don't tell me,
And my face, I have the same face I have with that when I had the like full-on witch costume. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm doing.
and Creepy's so oblivious here.
You got new shoes.
I am a Gwen butt.
Like, yeah, I am a Gwen butt. It's like, you changed something to your hair,
I'll figure it out.
different clothes. He's like, I like this part too. He's like, I know, you're taller.
You grew a little, didn't you?
I am a Gwen butt.
I remember though, I did have to keep my head like cocked to the side like that, because if not, if it was straight up and down, the thing would have fell off. So that wasn't out of disgust, but the facial expression might have been.
Demolition is imminent. Countdown sequence engaged.
Spooky.
30 minutes to total destruction.
It's a shame we don't have those lovely little PSAs to show. And
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're on here. I'm sure they're on here somewhere.
that one with the boys and or big brothers and big sisters, and then Creepy even mentions the one that little boy's just standing there. It's kind of creepy. I tried telling somebody that they were complaining about our PSAs. I'm like, well, you should have saw the ones we had like 2 years ago. And I'm like in hysterics laughing about it, and nobody knows it's funny because they don't see it. But I was like, you had to see this one, this like creepy little boy.
This is something that even when we were trying to write it, it never quite worked. I don't think it was something. This is a scene that we had to kind of do just again to get some plot points out of the way.
Yeah. It just, I don't know, we're complaining about the wedding, and I don't know.
The food here, like I said, the food has been taken care of. You shouldn't have to worry about
And my face, I still look like I could slap you.
This is again probably like the 14th time we've done these scenes.
This part worked out good though with the watch.
Yeah, it's my watch.
It's like, okay, why are you fussing?
Yes, well, anyway, like
Yeah.
I said, everything's been taken care of here. Listen, I'm going to go talk over the last details with Count Numbskull. Don't worry, everything.
If you look carefully at the background, you can tell that this was like the second scene we shot because Creepy Staff is still sitting back there from the first scene.
Yep. That's how we did stuff. We'd have like say there was 10 scenes to shoot. We'd probably shoot like the first one first, you know, the intro, and then we'd probably start from like number 7, and like it was the availability of certain people because we were all like committed to other stuff.
Well, that and you know, we wanted to have everyone to try to do a bunch of scenes back to back that they were all in. Sometimes it didn't quite work out. Those doors. This is a scene from real life right now.
Yeah, those doors are never open when you need them to be.
That was every day after 6 p.m. at McCormick.
Yep. And you'd have to knock, and then of course everybody had their phone on silent or vibrate or off, and you'd be banging out there forever.
This is true as well. We propped that door open. The tape is probably still on that door hinge.
Oh, I'm sure it is, because that's what.
If you go, although they might have moved it since the construction, but if you go to McCormick in the back room next to that door, you can probably still open it. The duct tape's probably still never been taken off of that latch. Oh, here it comes.
Yeah. We're coming up on a classic Leo moment that it may seem like a blooper or maybe scripted, but this is 100% Leo Wagenblatt.
Door opens the other way. Of course, you close that door and it locks on you.
Yeah. And Jeremy's like, it's locked. It's like, yeah, because it's gonna have to be.
She thought it was John Cumlaude stopping by. And his family. Magna.
Bring that Magna.
She's pretty. Like, I say that instead of being like, you're stupid.
Thank
like,
God you're beautiful. That's what Mike said,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Thank God you're hot. No, but instead of calling people stupid because that's mean, I'll be like, oh, you're so pretty. And then there's Leah, though, sometimes is just like downright gorgeous because she just had some moments, but we all did, though, but she just takes the cake a little. I like how we're at basement level of security.
It's a real effective security camera there.
It's Gwen, and she has the robot charger. She's using it.
You look at it.
Does this mean
Just
like...
wanted to see what was happening in the basement.
Gwen's a robot.
This is good, too. Eric was telling us that Joe DeMola's frat would watch this when, like, on Friday nights, and they'd all be sitting around, like, wasted, and they'd be yelling at the screen, like, she's using it because she's a robot, you know?
She's a robot, damn it!
What are you, stupid?
That's the type of show this was. We didn't come into this with any idea. Oh my gosh, this is big. No, this is schlock. Yeah. We performed it as schlock. That's why we put it together. That's why we produced it. This is the kind of show you're supposed to get drunk or, God forbid, maybe even just a little bit stoned and watch.
It makes it, that much more better.
Well, as much as I'd like to see you go, Cedric.
Here's the big wedding scene.
Something that's been bothering me.
Makes it palatable.
Yeah, there you go.
What would that be, sir?
I don't know.
And I like how our minister, if you will, was counting numbskull.
I hear this, apparently, I was told not too long ago that it's apparently legal in Utah
Really?
to be married by an animatronic skeleton. So apparently we're married in Utah.
We'll never ever visit Utah.
Never.
Never. Not once. The honeymoon was pretty awesome, though. We went to Tower of Terror, and if anybody's ever been on that ride, the ghosts come out. That's the family we visited. And, we got hooked up with all the money we had. Yeah, the Haunted Mansion, with all the money that BU gave us all the time. We got hooked up with a pretty sweet honeymoon.
You mean embezzled?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Utah, never going to see us. No.
I handed it to you now 5 minutes ago. I specifically told you.
I like the crepe paper wedding too, like the crepe paper that's around. That just adds, the ultimate class.
Such a class.
Yes.
Quite a lot of
And I think we even have like home interior flowers there. You can't really see it with the way you guys are standing there, but around the Gothic skeleton on the altar.
Silk flowers or something?
Yeah. That was somebody's job. I think that was my job, and I think Jody or Christina brought them in, the silk flowers. So I remember like the night before, I was like, Mom, I need silk flowers. Oh yeah, do you see them back there on the...
Yeah.
This was a gown I wore, like, my freshman year of high school, and it kind of worked out as the perfect black Gothic little...
black wedding dress, yeah.
Wedding dress. And who doesn't want to marry a robot with Tourette's?
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today.
Fashion bug.
You
had to say it. No, in 10 years, no one will get that reference.
No.
I do.
That's the kind of awesome thing about this is that some of the references we make. No, number one, no one outside the group will ever get it.
No, definitely. That's what I was saying with that one with the PSAs, and I'm there laughing my ass off, and everybody's like, "You're nuts." Wait, no, you would understand if you did the show.
What a lovely bouquet.
Yeah, I love that one, like, massively dark rose that's showing. And it's like, it's so pretty, and then there's like that dead rose, like, right in the middle of it.
Now, I know you're supposed to, like, explode on cue or something, but I never understood why you were malfunctioning.
I don't know. I guess I wasn't charged. The stress of a wedding. There's so much to do. You got to charge yourself. You got to get, everybody in order. Yeah.
That was a pretty good one. I always liked that.
Yeah. And then I like this because, shit just starts flying.
Its numbskull right in the crotch, too. Oh, this makeup was tons of fun to do. I went into the to the bathroom, which was a half a block down the hallway, and I think I borrowed someone's lighter, stuck it to the bottom of a coffee can, and like smeared all this ash all over my face and my hair and all this crap.
Yeah, I remember you're like, I'll be back, and it came back, and it was like, you do look blown up. And then, of course, you know, Mr. Creepy, he's pretty too, and he's like, she's a robot. You know, gotta love it.
Mr. Obvious. Captain Obvious.
And I like, too, how Count Numbskull's voice changed throughout the thing, too, and you could tell, it's like, oh, that's just Matt, you know, like, behind the robot with the mic. Oh, look, we
had a lake.
Yeah, to go into the morgue.
A lot of people don't notice that we had a lake outside the studio there.
We did. That's why there's so much construction. It's taken so long because they had to dig out from where our lake was.
But we have to
I love how I'm like so freaking forlorn here.
Who the heck was she? And where did she come from? How did you meet
Yeah, man, there's flowers everywhere. There's flowers coming out of that thing.
There's a hole in that statue. We said, stuff some flowers in here.
I believe we met at... Well, actually, I don't quite remember.
Lost the love of his life. He just has her ring.
How did you not remember?
And a shoe. That comes later.
Yeah, that comes later.
Wife, bot, thing.
I was...
Speaking of shoes.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You see the shoes. We mentioned that earlier because Eric was saying about, you know, everything was so right on with the outfit except for the shoes. And I'm like, well, you never see the shoes, but here we go.
People keep telling me, oh, well, the boots never worked. I'm like, that's the point. Oh, I sprayed water everywhere. I have to stop talking with my hands. That was the point, is that Cedric's walking around this dingy, mucky, you know, castle all day. He probably has to clean up the cesspool. He's not going to have time to wear, you know, fancy, shiny shoes. He's going to be wearing work boots.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's good defense.
Plus, I didn't have any dress shoes at that point.
I love this part. Joe was so good as his little cameos he did, and I just love how he has my shoe underneath his arm there, like, you know, he's writing stuff down. He's sort of like the Verizon guy, like on crack, you know, and he's just like, she's dead.
We had someone, I think in an earlier episode, I think it was the...
That was the next to last episode. Craig Rachetti was the Verizon guy, I think, yeah. So he did make an appearance, but...
It was very uncannily a lookalike.
He was, because he has the glasses and everything. We put the little outfit on, like, and it was like, oh my god, the Verizon guy's here.
I got some good news. I got some good news. Good news. Good news. I did all the research, came up with all this stuff, doing math, you know what I'm talking about?
Joe was one of those guys who was willing to play, you know, we needed a bit part. So we'd say, well, who we're going to write in? And after a while, it was like, we tried a couple of the other, you know, the crew members. In the first episode, we had I can't remember who they were, but we had a couple people trick-or-treating.
Oh, that was Tiffany Stewart and her cousin Jen Kelly. They trick-or-treated, and then that started to be a thing too. Like, as big as this show was, it was sort of like, you know, nobody ever wanted to help but us, you know. But then it got to the point where like everybody was like, oh, can I have a part of the show though? But Joe would come, you know, those shows, and he would like help and everything too. So that was pretty awesome about him. He would always help us, but he just was the best person to fill in for those spots.
Eventually, we kind of started writing bit parts for Joe.
Yeah.
Specifically. Oh, here we go. Report from the trio.
Hello. Is there a Sea Reaper there? This is Chad from the poop store. Your order's in. It's in your butt. It's in your butt.
Okay, give me that. Mr. Creepy? Mr. Creepy, it's me.
Don't know why he did that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But Mr. Creepy, we have some bad news.
I mean, what stairwell is that? Is that the one in McCormick leading up to the next floor?
That's the... it probably is. See, if there's another shot up the stairway, you can see it. If you rewind the DVD and look, you might be able to see a window out front. It'll be black, but if it looks black out in the background, it's probably that front stairwell in McCormick. Which they are once again renovating, by the way.
That's going to be the most kick-ass building on campus, though, I think. We just saw I think that was like the third castle we were allowed to film at.
Yeah, we traveled to a lot of
exotic places, you know. We should have done a show on that, the exotic castles of Pennsylvania that are
right there.
Bloomsburg.
Right there, that was a shot from Germany, of course. We had that phoned in for us, but
I hope you enjoyed The Terror. This was
some of the most creative titles for movies you'll ever see. The Terror.
But enough about about
You
them.
just get a chill just thinking about it.
Obviously a psychological thriller. I mean, that just tells you, I mean, God, what more do you want in a movie title?
We'll get rid of this, and by next week we'll have these froofy decorations out of here.
That pumpkin is like, where else are you going to see a jack-o'-lantern in a show that was produced in February?
Yeah.
How my trio
Frightening Fridays, why not?
kidnapping Agent Scully. Because
I remember those gloves too, after we did the like spoof episode, and remember he had all the whipped cream all over them, and nobody thought to wash them over Christmas break, and they smelled like ass afterwards. And they stayed like that, and nobody like could stomach them enough to keep them in the car to take them home. This part coming up too is another blooper. You'll see when Christina gets captured.
Continuation of this next shot.
Yeah. Because she just starts screaming her little head off.
Ah, that's probably them now.
I think Eric said they were shooting it, and she was so loud, and she was screaming. I mean, you'll hear it. She screams like she's being raped.
Yeah, it's a it's a good scream, blood-curdling scream, definitely.
And he said that they were done shooting the shot, and he's like, shut up, the cops are coming. Here comes this cruiser going through the area.
I remember, too, when we were shooting something there's a picture we have of Matt and Christina with guns, and the security had to just walk past the, we're like, we had so many, like, hit and misses there. I like, too, how there's Jody's car, there's Katie's car, there's Ben's car, there's my car.
A Taurus there. Whose truck was that? That was,
That might have been,
was that?
Ted's, wasn't it?
I was going to say, I think it was Ted's truck in the background there. That face. No one but Joel could pull faces like that.
Excellent.
I like how he's all like, oh, excellent, they captured her. And it's like, no.
Wrong. You failed.
Yeah. So that's episode 7. And it was fun. This is when we started, I think, knew that the beginning of the end was coming. But we still kept going with it. It was fun.
We had to start wrapping up some small parts of the plot line, move on to something different, because we knew, well, at that point we had we didn't know if we were going to come back, and of course eventually we didn't, but this was when we were starting to get good. And it's a shame we had to stop when we did.
Yep, but that's the way it goes. So
this been nice talking to you.
That's what YouTube's for.
Yes, YouTube. Check it out on YouTube eventually. Bye-bye.
Peace.
You're watching BUTV, Bloomsburg University Television, the home of the Huskies.